He created man and made provision for all his needs. Just like yesterday, we were made to understand that all the wealth, all the money, everything that Christ needed to have was given to him at birth. For me, that was awesome. I'd never seen it that way before. And that was why he never bothered when Judas Iscariot was stealing, because he had more than enough. When you have more than enough, stealing doesn't make a sense to you. That is the God that which we serve. So we'll be going to a selection, a part, a sum of what can be done in agriculture. Next slide, please. And next slide. And the selection, we're going to be going to a crop production. And in crop production, we'll be talking about maize value chain. We'll be talking about rice value chain, the cassava value chain. These are crops that we all know. But these are crops that you make money from if you have a little over a hectare, which is 2.5 acres. When you have anything less than that, the money you are going to be making is not sufficient for you. But if you have something a little bit more than a hectare, then it makes more sense. However, there are other crops apart from those ones that you don't need large areas to make money. And again, I'm sure some of it we know. Ugu, for example. Where I come from in Lagos, Ugu is a money spinning crop. From a football field of Ugu, if it's well made, you can within the next 3 months earn as little as 200,000 or as much as 500,000, depending on how good it is and what season you have, in 3 months. You can crop things like watermelon and all the cucumbers, and we will go through them. They're called high value vegetables. You can go to what is now generally referred to as crowd farming. It's a new kid in the block where entrepreneurs, young business men and women come together, get a farm, and they ask you to invest in their farm. We'll go to it. But the honest truth is that in agriculture, animal production still fetches you more money than crop production. That is the honest truth. But you can do other things which we will see. Packaging, agro inputs that you can sell. Next slide, please. I have in the next slide what I refer to as quick wins. Next slide. And the quick wins are agricultural production that are easier and faster. And on top of my quick win, even though it's not a crop, is snairing. Snail again, I'll use Lagos as a typical example. Snail in Lagos is a high-priced commodity. And because a lot of people now are very conscious of their health, if you're conscious of your health and they're asking you not to eat red meat, not to do this, not to do that, one thing they cannot ask you not to eat is snail. And an average size of snail sells from between 500 and 1,200 for one piece. But you have crops too that can give you such. Cucumbers, lettuce, bell pepper, tomatoes. Some of these things you don't have to cultivate them yourself. You can actually buy and sell. I'm sure everybody here would at one time or the other take in zobo. Zobo is a plant from the north. It's a flower, hibiscus. But you can actually trade locally and internationally in the flour called hibiscus. And it is a money spinner. And when it comes to drinks you can take, even if you are diabetic, if you are hypertensive, or whatever the ailment you have, Zobo is one thing you can take. It is better than any of the drinks, the imported drinks that we take. Eggplants, garden egg, rice cultivation. I use the word brown beans packaging because in this vegetation, in this ecology, cultivation of beans, which we refer to as cowpea, is not very good because of humidity. But you can buy it, repackage it, and sell. So I'll be showing us different packages that we can do. I'm going to start with my passion, which is rice. Next slide, please. Rice is my passion, and by the special grace of the Lord, I've been into different rice value chain for the last 30-something years. But rice is something that can grow all through Niger Delta. You can grow rice as upland crop, you can grow rice as lowland crop. Rice will take you a 6-month period from your land preparation to your harvesting, because you have rice plant variety that as short as 3 months, 90 days. But when you look at the land preparation and the harvesting, give yourself 5 to 6 months. With an investment around 250,000, you can get 450, 500. But that's not all. There's so much more you can do with rice. You can let other people plant rice and you buy the processed rice, clean it and repackage. You make more money than the person who is actually planting. Depending on your package, depending on your cleanliness. Especially now that we have restricted importation of rice because of the border closure to it. We've seen rice move, and I'm sure it's also here, from as little as 9,000, 10,000 to 27,000 per 50 kg bag. Right now, the 50 kg bag of rice hovers around 15, 16, 17, even 18,000 naira. Farmers actually do not have that much gain when it comes to rice. But when you add value to it, you get more money. Then in between cultivation, especially for our young ones, there are services that you can provide that can earn you money instead of not doing anything. Agro services, spraying, selling chemicals and selling seeds are factors that can give you money for rice. My next slide will show you different packages of other rice. And these packages can equally be used for normal rice, for our normal day rice. Packaging is a style of rebranding the kind of rice you eat. I'm sure you know that there are several brands of rice in the market. It's packaging. And we can all do that. We can all repackage and make money from it. There's no law that bans you from doing smaller packages. You discover that most of the big sellers sell in 50 kgs and 25 kgs. But there are lots of people that want only 1 kg, 5 kgs and 10 kgs. You can brand it and sell as long as you put a service to it. The next one on my slide is maize. Maize farming. Maize farming is not too interesting in the context of how we use it now. The open pollinated, that's common maize we have. But there's a maize that is available that a lot of us probably don't know. and that is called sweet corn. Sweet corn makes more money than the normal corn that you will sell at the roadside. Sweet corn is what most supermarkets will want you to have. And sweet corn is actually available here in Nigeria. I know there are lots of adulteration, but you can get pure varieties of sweet corn in RIT in Ibadan. And you can make 4 to 5 times whatever you make from regular corn. People are making money from sweet corn. Sweet corn are actually being imported into this country sometimes. But sweet corn can make you money. The only thing you need to know is that you cannot plant sweet corn with other corn. It has to be isolated, because when you mix them together, sweet corn normally loses its sweetness, because it's what we refer to as open pollinated plants. So when you isolate sweet corn, if you plant sweet corn in such a way that it's the only crop, it's the only maize within 1 kilometer radius, you get that sweetness. It is actually sweet. You get that sweetness that is desirable. And because it's a plant product, the sweetness is not adverse to your health. For example, if they tell you, oh, you're diabetic, don't eat so and so, sweet corn is also an exception to it, because it's a plant-based sweetness. And it's important that we know this information, because knowledge is key. My next slide has to do with cassava. Cassava is a popular crop amongst us. I know we like starch, we like all derivatives of cassava. The truth is, because of the duration that it takes cassava to grow, you will again make more money than the farmer that is planting it if you add something to it. In other words, if you process your tuber into gari, into high quality cassava flour, into cassava starch and ethanol, you make more money from them than if you are just selling your tuber. And when it comes to gari, the variants of gari are so many. And I'm going to show you small packages of gari that's been sold. Right now, I know of companies that are putting coconut in gari. Yes, they are, and they are making money from it. There are packages of gari that you already have, it's ready to go. You already have sugar with it, and I'll show you some. Next slide, please. Let's see it. Next slide. Those are packages of gari. You have coconut with gari. You have granite with gari. You have sugar, all packaged together. These are not products that require large funds. These are products that require small capitals, and you make your money from it. Just being a little ingenious in your packaging and what you add to it, and your money is in the bank. So they're not, the slide before this shows a woman frying gari. Yes, let the people frying gari be frying gari. You buy it over and repackage and impute things into it. That is value addition outrightly. That's a fryer. Let the fryer be there. All you need to do is ensure that your frying environment is clean, hygienic, and okay, and have a regular sauce. Once you have a nice environment like that, the next thing you need to do is packaging. And your packaging, you can add anything that is productive to it, from granite to sugar to kuli, to as many things as the locality in which you operate in desire, and money will be made. Even if you don't add anything, if you buy garri from a good source and you package it, you will still sell. You're not adding anything in terms of additives. I mean, all you're doing is you have a regular good source and a nice package like you have, sorry, the one before. You would still sell your rice or your garri. Packaging is very, very important. A lot of us do not want to buy our garri again from the open seller. And again, because of environmental factor, we have lesser fever, we have rodents and all that. People are more conscious about how garri is packaged and how garri is sold. And it is important for us to know it so that we can latch on to it and have a good thing. And the Lord will help us in Jesus' name. Amen. The next slide has to do with different products that you can package. Like I said before, you can do brown beans, you can do odorless fufu, you can do plantain flour. There are several things, several agricultural products that can be packaged. And when packaging is well made, you can take them even out of the shores of Nigeria. There's so many Nigerians in diaspora that still want to eat things coming from Africa. It's so unfortunate that the bulk of African food comes from Ghana and the Caribbeans. Very little comes from Nigeria. One of the very few things we tried was the yam, and we didn't get it right. All yam, everything, they're still coming from our sister countries. Nigerians can do the same. A couple of years back when I was in Asia, because I wanted to eat yam, I will buy, at that time, that was about over 10 years ago now, I will buy 4 slices of yam in a poly bag for 3,000 naira just to be able to eat yam. And there are more people outside there that still want to eat food from here, and we have them in abundance. All we need to do is have the right packaging, the right crop, and we will be in business. The next slide I want to show us has to do with what I call high value vegetables. They have short durations and they have high income. Today, most of these things are done by our northern folks, but there is actually nothing stopping us from doing it. The pictures I'm going to show you are all from Lagos State, not from the north. And you can make money from all these crops that I have listed for you. You can get people, what they call contract farming. You can get people to plant them, finance them, but you do the packaging. You can come together as a cooperative group and get land. All this crop here do not need large acres of land. No. 1 acre, 2 acre, and you are good to go. And I'm going to show you some pictures. This is cucumber. This cucumber is from Lagos State. And this cucumber sells in shops. We overlook them, but they are important. They are important because we are getting more and more urbanized. And the more we get urbanized, the more the consciousness we have that we need to live well and eat healthily, the more these plants, these crops comes handy for us. A lot of people eat cucumber now, especially our young and middle-aged ladies. They're too busy to eat normal food, but they'll take cucumber quite easily. If you want to be healthy, they'll tell you, put cucumber in your water and drink it. If it's in the fashion industry, cucumber is used for skincare, for the eyes, several things. And a piece of cucumber, depending on its size, could go as high as 500 naira, 600 naira for one. That's why we're in Lagos. I am sure that some of our men they do not know the price of cucumber in the market because they've not got to buy them. Praise the name of the Lord. My next slide is very different. You might not see it properly, but it's actually a pawpaw. That pawpaw is less than 1 meter high, and all below that leaf are fruits. And that pawpaw starts to bear fruit before it is 1 year old, and will bear fruit for the next 10 years. And each of those fruits, the minimum, the smallest amount you can buy them is 150 naira. These are things that, sorry, how many of us have gone to Cotonou or Ghana? How many of us have gone to Cotonou or Ghana? You would know that Cotonou and Ghana makes a lot of money from pawpaw. A lot of money from pawpaw. In Nigeria, maybe in Lagos, I'm not too sure of Warri, but in Lagos, pawpaw is still in high demand. And there is nothing stopping us from planting it. Enough of the old, tall, small things that we're growing. There are other varieties in town that we can take advantage of. We need to leave the old age and come to the new era. They're not genetically modified for those who think about it. No, it's just breeding, conventional breeding. There is no gene modification in it, so we're not introducing anything outside pawpaw into it. And they are all available in our research institutes. For those of us who know NIHOT, the National Research Institute in Ibadan, not IIT, NIHOT is a horticultural research institute. They have all these products. For 500 naira, you get a stand, a seedling of pawpaw. Then my next slide is watermelon. I'm sure we all love watermelon. And watermelon, I don't understand why we don't grow it. Majority of those who still grow watermelon are northerners. And it's not because it cannot grow here. The northerners actually come here to grow them. But we from the south of Niger, we don't. But that's okay. But you can actually invite them to your field. You provide them the facility, they grow it for you, but you are the owner. Do you know you can do that? Get a field, let them have it, but the product belongs to you. You will sell it better than they will sell, and you make more money than they will do. We need to start to be ingenious in our farming activity. It's not always the cutlass and hoe that we should think about. Contract farming is here to stay. It only has to do with how do we modify it to suit our situation. My next slide has to do with spring onion. And spring onion is also an onion that is making a lot of money. Like I told you, all these pictures are pictures from Lagos State. They are not from the north. It is school that trains young graduates to do all these things. These are not big fields. But the moment you do it right, supermarkets will come after you to buy them because they need them. My next slide has to do with tomatoes. And tomatoes come in different shades and varieties, from the cherry tomato to the conventional ones. And believe me, tomato makes money. Some years back, there was a little misunderstanding between Lagos State government and those who were conveying tomato to Lagos. So for a short period of time, there was a kind of a seal. Tomato was not brought to Lagos. And the price of tomato just shot to the roof. And that's why we realized that all the tomatoes we have or we eat all come from the north. God forbid, what happens if there's something that makes it impossible for them to come? What are we going to do? When the border was closed, the tomatoes that come from Cotonou was affected, because tomato also come from Cotonou. And tomato is not difficult to cultivate, especially if you have the right technology for it. And I'm sure we can do it. We can do it in greenhouses, which I'll show you. We can do it in open fields, depending on what interest we have in it. My next slide is pepper. Pepper, everybody eats pepper. Everybody eats pepper in one, and you know pepper, there's several varieties of it. The sweet one, the green one, the red one, the chili, the sweet, several. And we can always eat, or we can always crop that which is adaptable to our environment. Because different environments, they adapt to different environments differently. But apart from even cultivating them, you can sell dry pepper. You can repackage dry pepper. All these things that I'm saying can be packaged and sold. You don't have to be the one cultivating it, and you'll make money from it. My intention is to try and open our eyes to probably areas that we're not considering before, or that we're not thinking it's possible. My next slide, which is also another crop, is plantain. We all know plantain. We're actually in a plantain region. Delta, Edo, Ondo, plantain comes in abundance. The bunch of plantain I will buy for 1,500 around here, I will buy it for 6,000-7,000 in Lagos. Because generally in Lagos, 5 fingers is 1,000 naira. And if the fingers are big, it's 1,500. 5 fingers. And a bunch, I'll pick a bunch for 1,000 naira anytime I come to this area. But even that, there's always a seasonality to plantain. There's a season where plantain is scarce. What are we doing to catch up with it? All we need to do to catch up with the seasonality is plant at different times and create a watering system for them. I will show you another field on this slide where plantain fruit is harvested every month. It's just the science of planting right and providing the enabling environment. But plantain makes money. From plantain, you can make your plantain flour. And of course, I know everybody now knows that plantain chips is a golden chips. I have friends abroad that anytime I'm coming, all they require me to bring is plantain chips. All, just plantain chips. So it's not just, plantain chips is not just loved locally, it's even loved abroad. And hardly do you have anybody that is an enemy of plantain. Even if you are diabetic, they'll tell you, don't eat eba, don't eat amala, but eat plantain flour. And there are technology of producing plantain flour that are hygienic, that can be sold in supermarkets and that can be sold abroad. My next slide is an environment that keeps plantain and snail together. And in this environment, plantain fruit is harvested every month because the plantain was staggered. They were not all planted at the same time. And because there is water, there's a little bit of irrigation that goes through them to create a conducive environment. Even during dry season, they're still fruiting because that's the environment they like. And that same environment, that's why it's fenced, has snail inside. So you have plantain, you have snail in the same environment. As you're picking your snail to sell, you're having your fruits of plantain as well. In this environment, you are not feeding the snail at all. They're feeding because it's a natural environment. They're feeding themselves from the environment. So it's almost at no cost to you, except that you would have bought the snail to put in there. This can be done in your backyard. You don't need a plantation for it. And it is healthy. Another thing we often overlook is my next slide, which is pineapple. Pineapple had become a fruit that we even import to Nigeria from Cotonou. The International Organization for Migration in Edo State has started a pineapple canning factory for migrants that were brought back from Libya. So they have a pineapple plantation and they have a small factory to can it. Pineapple is in ShopRite, is in most shops. They are not just in local markets any longer. Pineapple bark, the bark of the pineapple that you normally throw away, is added to sobo to sweeten it. So it's a product that you can combine with other things. When you juice pineapple and ginger, a bottle of 330 mils, normal Maltina size, the minimum price is 500 naira. And pineapple juice and ginger is something you can do at home. You don't need a big factory for it. And you will make your money. In my church, almost every Sunday somebody comes to sell it to us. Pineapple and ginger, pineapple and so, beetroot and something. These are natural juices that are better than your Coke and Fanta. And more people are going into them. We should not be left out from it. My next slide is a little bit of money demanding, but the rewards are there as well. And that's the use of greenhouses. Greenhouses are special construction to make you plant crop year round where you would not have done so. Greenhouses, depending on the quality, can be a little bit pricey. You can build a greenhouse from as little as about 300 and as high as about $1 million plus. But the crop inside them will continue to grow and get harvested in good season and in bad season. The control environment is such that you do not have to have rain or to have drought because you provide everything for them. And there are companies that specializes in doing so. And we can equally build one. You're welcome, sir. The advantage of greenhouses is that it's a controlled environment. You control your weather. You can control easily pests and diseases. You can control drought and a lot of other things. These are just samples of greenhouses. Different samples. Different samples. You would see the gentleman on my left holding a cucumber. The cucumber that grows in this greenhouse on your right is planted 3 times a year because it's grown in a controlled environment. The first 3 months it's harvested, the soil is turned around, there's soil inside there, and it's replanted. So 3 times cucumber is being planted. That same greenhouse can be used for tomato, can be used for other crops, bell pepper and all the other crops. Your green vegetables, your greens, different vegetables can all be grown in greenhouses. So the issue of too much rain or no rain does not come into greenhouses because they are controlled environment. And the next thing is what I refer to as a crowd farming or contract farming, which is a new kid in town, the new block. I don't know if they're here in Warri yet, but in Lagos, you see all kinds of adverts. Come and invest, bring your 100,000 in 3 months, in 6 months, in so months. We'll give you back your 100,000 and with 20% income in so time. And they do that for rice, they do that for maize, they are going into poultry, they are going into fishery. What I would warn about is, before you invest in any of these adverts, please do your due diligence. Some are fake, some are real. We are in Nigeria, we all know. The good ones deliver, the fake ones do not. So it's important that you do your due diligence. But the truth is, you can actually come together as a cooperative group and do the same thing. Like I said before, You can own a farm outside your territory where the product belongs to you. You can invite people to your territory and give them a land, and they will farm for you. There can be several variants of how this can be done. May the Lord have mercy on us in Jesus' name. I've spoken a little bit about snail when I was coming up, but I'll just run through in the next 5 minutes. I'll run through some slides of things that are not crop, but that you can also make money from in quick succession. And one of it is snail. Snail, like I said, is a big money spinning, and snail generally is called snail keeping is a product that we do now. These days you can actually keep snail in your home, and it's all you need to know is what they need to do, or what you need to keep them healthy, and that we can do. So we can just run through the slides. We can run through the slide. The next set of slide I want to show you the habitat of a snail. Just next slide, please. To the picture of the habitat of the snail, where snails are kept. Next slide. Yes, you can keep snail like that. You can keep snail in different forms. I'll show you snail in plantation. Snail can be kept in different forms as long as you meet the conditions that is required of them. They will make money. And of course, it's also important to have a selection of different things. So I'll just, next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is normally how we see snail sold around. This man makes, let's be hypothetical, he makes maybe 10 naira. But next slide. The next slide shows you somebody that makes more money than the first one. When you eat snail like this, you know you are paying hard money. In some restaurants, 4 pieces of sliced plantain with 2 snail is 8,500. I can give you names. They are making money from it. Next slide. So let's go to fish. Next slide. I just want to show you again habitats of fish. Because we're in the water side, can we go next slide? In terms of aquaculture, especially fish, these are the kind of fish we can cultivate, especially the first 2 up, catfish and tilapia. Next slide. The environment that we are, which is with all kinds of water body, allows us to do different kinds of ponding. What we are seeing is actually on a water, is sitting on a river, and it's called pen and cage system, and you can do that on your catchment area and make money from it. In 3 to 4 months, that fish is ready to be harvested. Next slide. In your small backyard, those things can be done, and again you make your money from it. Next slide, please. Oh, I don't have land that I can dig into because I'm not the owner of the land. There are plastic bowls, big plastic bowls that you can make, you can cultivate fish inside. Next slide, please. Of course, you have concrete ponds that you can do. Next slide, please. Packaging. You know, in all that we've been talking about, packaging is very essential. It is an irony that those who package make more money than those who cultivate, because they determine the market. And we can equally do. You can buy smoked fish, clean it up, and package it, and you'll make money than the person who had even smoked it. Next slide. Pig farming. Because of the multitude of breeding of pig, a lot of people are going to it. Because we now have a lot of Chinese in our system, and Chinese love pigs. People are making money from pig. Next slide, please. Next slide. Poultry. I'm going to just run through poultry. We all know poultry. Next slide. We all know poultry can be layers, can be broilers, and there are various cages, various housing in which you can have poultry. I'm sure as we go through, can we just go next slide? The next slide I want to show you is turkey. Next slide, please. To turkey. Turkey rearing is a venture that is seasonal, but that equally can make money from. You need to rear turkey for about a year or 18 months to make good money from it. An average turkey sells from as little as 25,000, 30,000 to as high as 60,000, 70,000, depending on how big it is. Next slide, please. For those who are very, very health conscious, this little thing called quill, I'm sure we know we've seen the eggs. Next slide. We might not have known the bird, but a number of us have probably seen this egg. And this egg makes a lot of money. People make a lot of money from this bird, especially the older ones that, because of a high cholesterol, don't eat egg. This is an exception to the egg. When they talk about you don't eat egg, they're not talking about quail bird's egg. It's high in protein and very, very good for everybody, adults and youth alike. I'm rounding this up with a picture I like, and it's a picture of puppies and dogs that you now find common on the streets of Lagos, and they sell as high as 250,000 for a puppy of such dogs. So you discover that there are lots of things in agriculture that we are overlooking and people are making money from. But like I started with, and I will end with in this last slide, always be guided by God in any venture you want to go to. And like Proverbs 3:5-7 said to us, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil. May the Lord bless us in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much.
Praise the Lord. I want us to welcome our dad. While the teaching was going on, the Father of God. Let's stand up and welcome our daddy, please. When you are in the house, your mother and your father is there. You are covered. You don't have any fear. Daddy, you are welcome. let's have our seats.